So, Joe, thanks for being back on.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, and which no one else knows, because we just started this,
Yeah.
is
So
that
welcome
you
back.
came on a couple months ago to help us like do like a launch of this to kind of make sure that we're doing the right thing, doing a podcast. And so, thanks for coming back on and helping us out with this. And we're actually really interested in you
Yeah.
and what makes you, Joe Skipper,
It's very
with
special.
Skipper Realty Group. What makes you tick? Why did you come into real estate, and where'd you come from?
Oh man. That's a loaded question, a loaded bunch of questions. Well, I guess I'll just start with how I got to here is I was with the state police for almost 16 years prior to being in real estate. So I
Wow.
started out, graduated from Oregon State, gonna be a physical therapist, went into my internships my senior
I didn't know you were
year.
going to be a
Wow, I didn't
physical
know that.
Yeah,
therapist.
I
New
did
information.
pre-physical
Ah,
therapy,
oh my
exercise
That's
science
goodness.
with
three
Oregon
different
State.
career paths right there.
It was nuts, and I don't know if I went the wrong way or if the university set it up the wrong way, but it was my senior year when I started doing my internships that you're required to get before you get your doctorate.
So
Um,
you went through it.
I
Like
went
you
through the
were
pre stuff.
the pre
So you
stuff.
had to go
Okay.
through your internships before you applied for doctor school.
Got it.
Doctor school?
Doctor
I don't think
school.
it's doctor school.
I don't.
There's probably a technical term for it, but I don't know.
Maybe this
If I
isn't
go
why
to
you went through
One of the
it.
many reasons I did
if
not
I go to
make
a doctor, he says I went through doctor school, I'm probably gonna walk out.
it. This is one of the many reasons I did not make
Congratulations.
physical
I'm here to
therapy.
be your doctor. I went through doctor school.
Anyways, so I was doing I was like, do I want to go to 3 more years of school, pay a lot of money because I paid my way through Oregon State,
So,
and
I mean, what was interesting about that for
I
you?
love the sciences. Like
Yeah.
I loved everything with the sciences, the anatomy, the biology, the chemistry, all that stuff. When in college, I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed specifically the anatomy and the functionality, the sports, injuries, that sort of stuff. I loved learning about that stuff, and that's kind of what drove me that way initially. Athletic training was kind of my primary one I wanted to do because that was like when you're in that world in athletics, it's like that's the cool thing. Like working with a D1 football program or working with an
Yeah.
NFL team or some sort of thing like that, you make like $20,000 a year, but it was just such a cool like there was an allure to it,
Environment and everything.
and you're
Yeah.
working with athletes that want to train, that want to get better, that want to, and so from that side of things, it was awesome. Um, I ended up saying, physical therapists make a little bit more money, so I went that route. And then internships, I was like, I don't want to do this day in, day out. So it led me to a friend that said I was going to go in the military. I went through the MEPS. Have you heard of MEPS? Like the pre-physical stuff to get to the military, like get your
Yeah,
physical, all
I've
that
heard
sort of
of that,
stuff.
yeah.
So I was going to go to officer candidate school at a graduate school. My dad was in the military and said, well, why don't you just do that if you don't know what you're doing? Go in the military. I was like, okay. I'm just like, I sound like this kid's just wandering through life, and I probably was. But so he, had me do that. I'm going through all the testing, and then a buddy of mine that was a state trooper was like, well, if you like the military stuff, why don't you just apply for the state police? And so it's like, okay. I applied
That
for the
sounds
state
good.
police.
Okay.
And I think that they needed to fill a class because they accepted me pretty quickly. I know a lot of people waited. A lot of people waited a year and a half or
You
so.
weren't the best candidate. It's
No,
just-
I
okay.
think I was just breathing, and they're like, "We need to fill a class. We're about going." Because from the time I applied to the time I got into recruit school, it was like 5 months, and a lot of people in that recruit class were like, well, "I waited a year and a half. I waited 2 years."
Wow.
And I don't think it's because of my exceptional skills.
You're like, what's wrong
Like,
with you?
I think
got
they
there in
were
5 months.
Yeah, they're like, "You're probably gonna quit midway through this, but we're gonna throw you in the class anyway and see what happens." Well, I proved them wrong, and I made it.
Yeah.
So then I was a state police in Salem, as a state trooper on the road in Salem for 5 years, and then major crimes detective in Salem for the major crimes team for 5 years, and then last was with the governor's security detail for 5 years. So I was following the
like-
governor around.
That's another 3 different career paths right there. Just
Yeah.
within there.
Yeah, I don't like to stay in one place for long, as you can tell. No, and that's what the state police was cool because it provided me with different stuff. I get bored very easily, even in police work. I was like,
Yeah.
at about 5 years, I was like, okay, what's next for me? And
Yeah.
so then I went to major crimes, and that was super exciting and super fun for me, dealing with like big crimes and things that actually I felt mattered a little bit more than stopping soccer mom on the road. But so then I did that for 5 years, and I got kind of bored with that, and then the governor's security detail was another cool thing.
Yeah.
Not cop related by any stretch,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Seems very different.
It is. It is. I don't want to say that we're anything like the Secret Service, but that's the most likely you can compare it to. We were just traveling around with her. We drove her around. We basically were with her from the time she got up and had to go start her day to the time she was ready to go to bed, and then dropped her off there. So it was a lot of experiences, a lot of fun, a lot of different crazy places we've been to, a lot of nice places we've been to. Japan. We're in DC a lot. We were all over the country. So.
What was the most stressful part between those 3 paths?
Ooh, I think it's different stresses. I think the patrol was that day to day. You just never know what you're going to get into and who you're going to confront and what's going to go on. And I
Like
still
kind of on the edge of your seat all day long.
you always were. And I worked night shift, so I
Ooh.
very rarely worked a day shift in the 5 years. So you're not dealing with the the cream of the crop of the community, and so you're constantly on edge. And I don't I think that mentally was a drain. After a while, after 5 years of just seeing people not trusting a lot of stuff, very much, it was hard to do. Major crimes are more stressful with the crimes. You had big crimes and you had victims that were expecting an outcome, not only from the very beginning of when you met with them to the prosecution of the case. So there was a lot more, it wasn't as exciting on the front end of like responding to stuff, which we did go to some fun stuff, but it was a lot more of that boring stuff, but it had a lot of ramifications. So
it was kind of a long game almost.
Yeah. But you had people that really cared about that long game. It wasn't like you just arrested someone for a warrant or something on the road and you could just move on. It was like these people are affected for the rest of their life and they're expecting you to get justice for them, whatever that may be. So there was a lot more stress on that end of like worrying about that sort of stuff. And then the governor's a polarizing figure. They always are in almost every state. And so with that polarization, how they believe and what their beliefs are, you have the other side saying, I don't like you very much and I want to do something to you. So there was that stress of kind of guiding her through her life and allowing her to do what she wanted to do, but keep her safe at it and not, part of that is not letting her know that you don't want them in fear all the time. And so you're kind of like always balancing that stress of kind of annoying her with the things that we are concerned about because we'd like her to be in a little bubble and never see anyone and never talk to anyone and never do anything. And she has to. So that was a different stress on that of like, and you can, and with us particularly, you can't be wrong 1% of that. You can't be wrong ever because the second you make a mistake.
So when you go into that type of field, I mean, some people like they grew up like I want to go into law enforcement. That's what I want. The direction I want to go.
Yep.
When you go into that field, do you take stuff home at night, or are you able to just shut it off?
No, I honestly think coming out of this, it's a really mentally, I don't want to say this in a negative way, it's a mentally unhealthy career. I think that, I think there needs to be a lot more work done with law enforcement and how they're handling their day-to-day stuff because we're expected and they are expected to go into these worlds and deal with kind of the people that we don't want to deal with as average citizens and the crimes that we don't want to deal with. But then we expect them to interact not only well with them, but then well with their family when they go and shut it right off. And I just don't think that was possible. Yeah. And I saw a big degradation in my mentality in the patrol side after 5 years working nights. You can see, looking back, I saw the issues.
Did you meet your wife before you went into law enforcement?
Yeah, she's been through it. So she went through all those downsides. We met in college. And so she saw kind of the fall and the rise of my mentality through those different careers. And thankfully it progressed from kind of the worst, I think, patrol is the hardest, I think, mentally, to more of a relaxed stage towards the end. So
you think after you go through each of the stages is like you're at your low as you're coming out of the patrol and then you get into something new, you're on your high for a little while, then it kind of tapers off again.
Yeah, and it was, you went from patrol to where you didn't trust anything. Like you would go out with family and you didn't want to go in social circles. You didn't want to be out in the public. You didn't want to do all that sort of stuff. So it was that's not good for the other side, the family that wants to go do that stuff and wants to enjoy that stuff. And all you're doing is looking around at threats or what possible threats.
Like all the danger that surrounds them as they leave.
Yeah. And so it was nice to get into major crimes because you didn't have that like head on all the time, like have that tensity. So it kind of help the relationship and help the family life a little bit going into major crimes. But then there's those stresses with that too, that you see these really big crimes and really bad people that do really bad things.
So she loves that you're in real estate now.
They're all happy I'm in real estate. Yeah, they're all happy.
How'd you make that jump? I mean, that's a big jump from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mentality wise too. You have to change how you interact with people. You have to change how you interact with your job, how you approach your job. I mean, how'd you make that jump with that?
Yeah, I think for me, I was lucky because it was pretty easy. As you can tell, my mentality is not linked to anything, particularly. Yeah. So I was able to jump and jump around with that stuff. But I had always wanted to run my own business, even in police work. I always thought Christina's family, I don't know if you know, Christina's family's been in the real estate industry forever. Her parents have been in the industry forever. So I'd always known them and seen how they function and how they interact in the real estate community, what their life's like, what their personal life's like. And I kind of always envied that as I saw that. And so in my head, I thought, one day I'll do that. So as to getting into real estate, it wasn't that much of a surprise. As to when to do it, it just kind of worked out for me. We were with, I was in the governor's team. It was during COVID, and so we were all huddled in the office. We didn't do anything. She got into the office. She stayed there all day. And so I saw it kind of as an opportunity to start learning the industry, learning the real estate industry. We were all bored. Everyone, as you know,
We were all bored.
like, as you know, we were in a secure facility, secure building. No one's in the building because
Yeah.
no one could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And so we were literally in a multi-story building with no one in it. And so I was like, well, why don't I do something? So I started taking the course. Before then, I took the course, but then I started learning the industry. I was able to kind of get my feet wet with everything, learning the contracts, learning the ins and outs of the nitty gritty stuff that I just, wouldn't have been able to do if we were not in COVID. And then at that point, as we started to come back out into the community and people could do stuff, I started to get clients, buying and selling clients. And so it kind of just naturally went to a point where I couldn't do both jobs well. I was just kind of not. I personally wasn't performing how I would want to perform either on the state police side or the real estate side, and it just was I think a good problem to have, but it was a problem that I was like,
Something had to give.
Yeah.
Something had to give, and I was ready to do it. So it kind of.
It seems like that's the transition now, as opposed to in the past where people either quit and then they start up a new career. Now it's more like a gradual, kind of transition into something new.
Yeah, I was lucky. I don't think it works for a lot of people to do that, especially in real estate. Carrie, you would know. It's like looking back, I don't think it would have worked if I was out. If we were out and about and I was learning the industry, and if I didn't have that COVID years, and I'm not thankful for COVID, but like that kind of helped me get in there. I think people that say they're going to do part-time real estate, it's very difficult to get to jump into it full-time. I just don't think it ever works out, or not ever works out, but it's just harder to do. I think if you're going to...
Years ago, it was a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
I think the client profile has just changed.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
and what
expect
they
more.
expect, yeah.
They expect more out of you.
Yeah.
They're not expecting a part-time agent. They don't want a part-time agent. They realize that they're paying you a lot of money and they're not going to do it for a part-time agent. So I think it's harder to get in. I was lucky to be able to kind of dabble on both sides and get paid while I'm learning.
So we know it kept you up during your years as a police officer at night. What keeps you up at night now as a real estate agent? I mean, what do you worry about?
It's different, and now that you say that, it was a different, not as stressful if you look back on it. You're like the things of like, well, I die tonight. Like at my job is much different than, oh, my client's mad at me because I didn't do something.
But did you die?
Yeah, but did I die? No, I didn't. So no, it's a little bit different, but it still is there. Running a business is hard.
Yeah.
Like you're always thinking of how to improve, how to do better, what have I done wrong, and so you're constantly like, I regularly am up at 3 or 4 in the morning being like, I have to do this, I have to do that. So it's the constant kind of either, I don't think it's doubting, but it's like, how better run your business? What could I do better today? What am I going to do? And so that's kind of what keeps me up is there's a lot riding on a business, right? Like it's no joke. And so, especially when you're supporting a family and doing those sort of things, you have to be ready to go with that. So,
and it seems like, people, when they see real estate, they think of it more like sales, like car sales or, sort of online sales, but it's not the case with real estate. You're not really selling anything. People already know what they want to get.
Yep.
And I think it's a different mentality. And I notice not a lot of salespeople go into real estate. It's more of people that want to go into real estate because they like either the home buying process, or they like the architecture, they like houses, they like people, they work well with people, or they like the paperwork and the negotiation side of it. I think. What was the thing that drew you into real estate as far as, hey, I definitely don't want to do police work anymore.
Yeah.
What was the thing about real estate that really drew you to it?
I think the number one was running my own business, like having a business in general. That was the number one thing I wanted to do, is to run my own shop. I think, but from seeing Christina's family do it successfully over a 30-something year period and manage to have a family while doing it and seeing it firsthand, this is what they do. I think that drew me into the real estate side of things. Every time I started to go over, okay, what could I provide to society that could be a business or could be a future business, it always turned back to kind of slowly always pointed back at them, and they're doing it well. This is what they're doing. So I think for me, that was kind of an easy transition to the real estate side of things versus another sort of business. And how they cared for their clients. Like, I think that I was a little unique in the police world because I did actually care about people. I hate saying this is not going to go well. cops care about people. But I always like, especially in the major crime side and those sort of stuff, I enjoyed nurturing people from the very front to
You
the
felt
very end of
connected
the
to 'em.
case. You feel like
Yeah.
a connection. And you want them to feel like that you care about their case and it's their case is the only one you're dealing with. Even though you're not, you just wanted them to feel that, to where no matter what the outcome was, they know that I worked the hardest. And I think Christina's parents on the real estate side of things treated clients like that. You talk about the sales. It is a sales. I think of it as like a sales indirectly like position. You're really nurturing relationships with people and letting them know they can trust you with a huge part of their life, a huge financial aspect and a huge personal aspect of buying and selling a home. So I saw that in Christina's parents, and that kind of was like, okay, this could work for me as a business. So.
And I've met a lot of like motorcycle cops that really enjoyed writing me tickets.
They do.
I can tell they really enjoy their job.
They do. And no, I have a friend that was a motorcycle cop, and she did enjoy it. And
She's like, I
she'll
can't
hit me
wait
right
to go
now,
to
and she's
work.
like, well, they were wrong.
There's a job for everybody.
You were speeding.
There is a job for everybody.
There's a lift
And
for
you had a
everybody.
tail light out, so you deserve it.
Yeah.
No, anyone that gets stopped by a motor cop and does not get a ticket, I'm like, it is your lucky day,
Yeah.
because they love doing that stuff. But that's what they're hired to do.
Yeah.
That's what they joined to do, which to me is not my thing. But like I said, I have a friend that hopefully is not listening. But but she would tell you right now, she's like, yep,
She's like, I love it.
they were speeding. So
One of the other misconceptions I think about real estate is like people think they join a company and it's like everything's laid out for them. Like, this is how you do everything. Here's your budget. Here's how much you get paid.
yeah,
That's
not
not
at
the
all.
case. That's
That'd
not
be
the
so
case.
great.
Not at all.
If there was just a clear roadmap.
There is
Like,
no road. Like, there is no roadmap.
Yeah.
Which, in one sense, you could say that was, it allows everyone to have their own personality and their lifestyle and their business, and they can kind of cater their business towards that. But man, you take that test and you don't get anything. I don't want to speak negatively about the real estate test, but it does not teach you how to be a real estate agent.
You know how
in
many square
any
feet are
ways.
in an acre.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
like
come
the
on.
only thing. That's the only thing you know. And so you come out of there and you're like, okay, cool, I'm a real estate agent. And they're like, okay, how do you write an offer? How do you do this? You're on your own. And so, yeah, there's no blueprint for it.
It
So
seems scary. I mean, it seems like, but I think a lot of people they wing it.
Yeah.
And then they come out of it and then they look for other agents to kind of guide them through the process,
Yep.
usually for free. Hey, how do
We
I?
call them mentors.
They latch onto you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard industry to get into, and I think that's why you see a lot of failure and a lot of people
Yeah.
drop out of this industry. I don't know what the percentages are after 3 years in the industry. It's not a lot of people make it
No.
in real
Isn't
estate.
that like an 87%
Something.
failure rate? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, especially right now, I think they're still waiting to see what last year
Yep.
did to how many people are going to renew their license.
Yep.
The fallout's going to be.
The fallout's going to be.
So how is it different with Christina joining now that you have the insight for what it takes to kind of, I mean, she already had the insight from her parents for how to run a real estate business and how to interact with clients and everything like that. What perspective did you have for her coming into it now that you had kind of done it for a few years?
Yeah, she brings in a different side of things. She was in the mortgage industry too, so she was in mortgages for
forgot that,
15
yeah.
years. Yeah, so she lived a life of real estate with her parents, and then she's been in the real estate world indirectly through mortgages
She's a
forever.
lifer.
And
Yeah.
so she knows it. Yeah, so it hasn't. We're still learning it, but it has not been a huge transition for her. She
awesome.
already knows the industry, and she does well naturally. I think she picks it up from her parents. I don't just how she cares for people, the clients that she's getting in, and how she takes care of them. There's not a lot of mentoring that I have
It's
to
like
do
an
for
easy
her.
transition.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
some of the intricacies and the technicalities of the paperwork and things like that I can help out with. But as to running a business, she already knows that the culture of it, of treating people like a family member and all of these things, over providing for them what they need. And so, yeah, it's been an easy transition.
Are you guys working as a funnel, like through a team? Or are you guys working separately?
Ooh, man, it's still a work in progress. I
Yeah.
think that her family, her dad was more of on the back end of things, the paperwork, making sure every T was crossed and I's were dotted, which was good. Her mom was the face of it, kind of the social, more of that. And so that worked out well with them. However, I think that brings when you're intimately involved in one transaction together, I think that brings a whole host of other issues,
Yeah.
but especially for Marie and Christina. I don't like being someone bossing me around, and she doesn't like me bossing her around. So There are clients we're going to have that are friends that
Yeah.
we just kind of it naturally, what we've seen, at least in the short term, is it naturally funnels to one side or the other, depending on the client. And then we just assist where we need to assist on the other end. So we don't want to work deals traditionally together. Every single deal is both of ours. We want to be able to help each other when needed, but clients tend to drift, for whatever reason to me or to her, and we kind of like
Just let it go.
back off.
I've always wondered that because we do work with some people that are like husband and wife, but their real estate businesses are kind of separate.
Yeah.
They're listed separately on the website, and so I was always wondering about that,
Yeah.
like how the dynamics work with that is.
We're still learning it. We'll still, even last week, it's just kind of you just adapt and you start to say, because you have all these plans. You're like, this is how we're going to do it. This is how, this
So
is
you guys
gonna
post on the fridge
perfect.
whose numbers are
Yeah,
better.
yeah, exactly. Oh, the kids have already got bets on her, and now I'm starting to bet on her. I'm like, in a matter of time, I'm going to be the stay-at-home dad. So she'll
You're
do
gonna
great.
be the TC.
Yeah, the kids
just
are.
handling
Yeah,
all the paperwork.
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank
But
you,
yeah,
Carrie.
people
Thank you.
gravitate to personalities in real estate.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not so much just like, this person does if they like you, they want to work with you.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's why, marketing and being in front of people is so important, I think, nowadays, as opposed to years past. You had a black and white picture in a newspaper, and
Yep.
that would be the guy you call.
Yeah. Not anymore. Now it's video.
Wouldn't that
Podcast.
be amazing if you just put a picture in the newspaper?
I
Like
wish.
people would be like, "Sell my home."
Yeah.
Be like, I will do that.
I want
for
to get
you.
to that point. I want to get to that point. I'm gonna
Goals.
start the bus benches. I'll start there. Put my face on a bus bench. Oh,
That's funny. So where do you guys go from here? I mean, are you going to grow it into a team, or how are you going to structure it?
we don't know.
Tell us all your secrets.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. Right now, we're happy with how we are as this. EXP's structure, they have a revenue share program. So as you bring agents on, you can kind of share in the revenue that those agents make. So that's a long story we could get into. But I will naturally recruit people that way. But will they be part of our team? We still haven't figured that out. Real estate's kind of weird if you don't know it, of how teams are structured and brokerages are structured, and whether you're an actual team or whatever. So right now we're happy with how we are. We are welcoming to people that want to join EXP and the things that they have, to benefit agents. But right now we're learning each other before we go and do anything else crazy.
So you've been doing a lot on social media, and you've been doing a lot of video posting and everything. So what's that journey been like for you, as far as just getting your feet wet with it, and then all of a sudden you've really ramped things up this last year?
Yeah.
You've been way more consistent than most. Which
Yeah,
is awesome.
I think getting into EXP, the people that I got that sponsored me, EXP has a sponsorship program to get into the agency, and so the person that got me in was heavy on social media, and that's how I learned about social media through him, and so that kind of spurred me to say, this is kind of the future of real estate, and I need to get in now. Or I don't want to be overtaken by the agents that have already done it forever. So I wanted to get in on the front end. He had some great training on how to do it, and I just kind of took it. And he kind of had this motto of just do it. Just stop thinking about it. Stop waiting for the perfect piece of equipment.
It's never
Stop
gonna be
waiting
a
for the
perfect
perfect
time.
camera.
Yeah.
Just do it and start doing it consistently. And he kind of showed me his history of his old videos. And he's like, look, this is where I was. Like, you just have to do it. So it just kind of spurred me to just do it. And it kind of was a type of marketing that I liked doing, or I liked the thought of it. I was still nervous about getting on video, and I still am nervous about getting on video, but it was a type of marketing that I saw an opportunity there. I liked doing it, and I liked working on it. So I was like, okay, I just made a plan and just started saying, this is what I'm going to do.
So are you shooting every day? Are you shooting?
No, I
what's your
block
shoot
off
schedule?
my times to block off generally the beginning of the week, block off time to do it and edit it. So now that I'm better at it, it takes much less time to do all that stuff. So I generally have my Mondays are more or less for recording and editing. But then from then on out, I just put it out through the week. So
What do you think is your more successful type of videos that you put out? Is it informational stuff or day-to-day type of stuff?
yeah, that's surprising, because you sometimes see things that shock you on how people care about what you're doing, things that you think are going to be super popular, everyone's going to love
You're
it.
like,
You get
everybody's
like,
gonna love
no one
this.
cares. Like,
Yeah.
but then the ones you're like, oh, I got
It's
to
always
put
the
this
stuff you
out.
put the most
Yeah.
into.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You're like, this is going to be so great. I'm going to be
Such a flop.
famous. Going to be famous, viral.
Gonna
Here we
trend.
come. No, it doesn't happen. So, no, a lot of the market insights, like, I could go into like, are you talking the medium? Like, whether it's YouTube Shorts,
Yeah, I
YouTube,
think so.
like,
Because I'm trying to think, what translates kind of universally for a lot of
yeah,
businesses.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like behind the scenes, that seems to go over pretty well. It's you just in your business
Yeah.
talking about, what project you're working
Yeah.
on that day. Um, but for real estate, there's so many different ways you can go with it.
hmm Yeah, part of it is part of it has to cater to your personality. If you're going to fake something and hate it, it's never going to work. What I have found is the home tours, those sort of thing. People like seeing you in a more natural environment. I do a
Yeah.
lot of the talking head stuff, and I think it's educational and it's nice. But what I get a lot more response out of is that like you out doing something, people seeing you and your personality and who you are, and maybe
Doesn't feel
showing a house.
scripted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I find a lot more success with that. That's harder, as we all know, in that of kind of that unscripted type of stuff. I would find that shorter length videos in our day and age is better. There is a need for, I think, not a need, but there are long form content like a YouTube video, 10 minutes long is good. People all look at YouTube for all sorts of things, whether that's real estate or anything. So I think that's good to have that out there because that's kind of evergreen stuff that Google and YouTube searching, using the SEO stuff is good. But I think I find my day to day, just kind of the TikTok length type stuff, 60 seconds or less, is getting a lot more views and a lot more interest because people can get a quick bite of, the real estate world or a tip or a trick, and then they can move on. Because most people, even if you're looking for a house, don't want to watch 10 minutes on a video.
People have attention spans like this anymore.
Very
it
short.
feels like, yeah.
So
I mean, the whole idea is to try to get people to come to you for real estate. I mean, but there's some people respond better to certain things.
Yeah.
And so you got almost have to do a little bit of everything to make sure you get that spread of you're not going to, you're not going to get a huge audience on one type, but someone will respond to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you have to, if you're going to dive into the social media realm, some people say to pick YouTube, for example, and become an expert at that, and then move on to Facebook, move on to Instagram, and become experts at each one. It might be easier than it might be a little overwhelming to just jump into it all. And that's what I did. I started on YouTube a lot. I just was like, I'm going to be good at YouTube and put out long form content. And but now that I'm getting the hang of it, I think if you're going to dive into social media, you've got to be on everything, because some people are on Instagram and not on anything else. Some people only look at YouTube and look at nothing else. Some people look at TikTok, nothing else. So yeah, having that variety of stuff. And I think like putting out valuable content in short bits is helpful. Carrie, our job is not exciting. Like, the stuff we talk about.
Exciting? What are you
The
talking
stuff
about?
we talk about, whether we like it or not, is like, it's exciting to me and
People's
you.
eyes glaze over a
Yes.
little bit.
And so I found like putting out quick clips that people are like, oh, I'm not buying a house, but that was super interesting.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know about that. Those sort of quick
Home
clips are-
renovation type stuff. People
Yeah.
are like, I'm not like looking at buying a house now.
Yeah.
But maybe in 6 months.
For sure.
So you're putting that little thought in their brain,
Planting that
maybe
seed.
planting
Yeah.
the seed for maybe something later, but you give them something useful that they can use now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then being front of mind when they do look, when they are like, oh, I'm looking to buy a house. I see Joe's stuff all the time, so I'm going to give him a call. He puts out a lot of good content. So I don't do a lot of salesy stuff. I really want to provide valuable content to people that are buying and selling, that they can learn different tricks, because there are things that, people do this once, twice in their whole life, buy and sell a house. So they're not expected to know what a rehab loan is or a bridge loan or whatever, different options that they have. They always think, 20% down, conventional mortgage, this is how to do it. So I think like giving them valuable advice to say, hey, this is an option that might work for you has been successful. So,
And that seems to translate to a lot of different businesses. If I were to see someone doing like car detailing, probably not real exciting video for me to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, some people like seeing, the final product of something like that happen. But if this person does it consistently all the time and it keeps popping up in my feed, eventually my car's going to get dirty and like, there's that one guy that does that.
absolutely.
And that's who I'm going to think about to have that done.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the payoff. I might not like that. That's the other part. It's the likes.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that feeds off that likes, I like getting likes, and like I
Yeah.
post a video like, did people like that?
Yeah.
Like 4 minutes later, it's like, this
like-
is garbage.
But
Nobody
I'm also the person that won't like other
Yeah.
videos that I actually like.
Yeah.
I'll skip over like, oh, that's cool, but I can't hitting
You
the
dole
button.
out your likes. You're like,
You know, it's
Like,
just
I've only
that
got a couple more. Got a
Got
lot of looking,
5
and I got
today.
a couple
Who's gonna
likes
get
to
'em?
do.
it's like I'll get in that habit. I think it's a scrolling habit.
Yeah.
It's like scrolling the next one. Okay, show me a couple videos because I gotta go do some other
Yeah.
things. And I really liked all those videos, but I couldn't take the time to hit the button.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't know if it's the feedback or if it's the positive reinforcement aspect
Instant
of it.
gratification.
Instant
sort of, yeah.
gratification you get from like, oh, 1,000 people like. She posted a video a couple months ago, and all of a sudden she's got like 1 million views on it. And
Excuse me, it hit like what, 6 million?
yeah,
I
6
think it
million.
stalled out at 6.3
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait, what? You have 6 million views?
Yeah, on one video. I thought I was viral. I mean,
Yeah.
I technically was.
We've got to interview
but
you. Like, what are you doing?
We,
Like,
we have
I'm
a
going to start.
swag
I'm
section all
turning
set
the
up
questions
for it.
on you right
No,
now.
it was literally a video about moms during the holidays, and it was one little clip of being like super into the holidays, and the next one was losing your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I'm having a meltdown.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Resonated with like 6 million moms.
Yeah.
And you did that video?
I did not. I just clipped it all together. Well, I didn't even clip it all together. I just like, what's it called? When you like repost it, but you put your own little caption on it. That's all I did.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And
And,
it
then I was
just-
really mad when I found somebody copied me. I was like, how dare you?
How dare you copy my copy?
Yeah, how dare you copy my... You took 1.5 million of views. Those were supposed to be mine.
You're going to hear from my lawyers.
I know. Like, sending you a cease and desist, right?
But you can sit there and just refresh every
Yeah.
couple of seconds, like 100,000 people, and it's like you get in that mode, or it's just like,
Yeah.
I remember
like,
being like, what if this hits like 100,000 views?
Yeah.
And Brian's like, I think it's going to hit 2. And I'm like, no.
That's insane.
yeah.
That's
Crazy.
big.
And then I
start
posted
doing that.
another one that we were like, oh, this is going to be like gold. And it was like, womp.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
I need to do that. That's really interesting. I
Yeah.
think the funny stuff is good. And being an
It
agent,
had nothing to do
like
with real
just kind of,
estate.
yeah, just kind of funny and casual resonates a lot. And it shows your personality. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and then I got like 900 more followers, and Brian's like, what are you going to do with them? I was like, I don't know. So I hid. Because I was like, I don't know what to do with all these
You
people
can
now.
send them to me.
Yeah.
I know what to do with them.
I was like, I feel like I need to put something out.
It's great. You get like 1 million people, but 1 million people from where? Especially
sure.
if you're in real estate, or if you're in
Yeah.
a very specific area. If you sold stuff worldwide,
Yeah.
this would be great.
Yeah.
But if you're just, this is my area of like Salem or whatever, and you got 1 million followers, it doesn't translate into more business for you. So getting 5 people that really like you and
Yeah.
they're local is worth more. It probably doesn't seem like it's worth more, or getting them to actually click the like button is probably worth more than 1,000 random people. But that's kind of goes back to like the mentality of when you go into social media. It's
Yeah.
like, what's your goals for it?
Mm-hmm.
Is your goals to get 1 million followers, or are your goals to get 2 people that actually visit your business, that actually will buy something from you?
Do you feel like when you're posting your videos, you're trying, like you have like, you hear about that client avatar everybody's talking about
yeah.
right now, like dial in on who your client avatar is, to make sure that that's the person you're speaking to versus trying to speak to everyone? Where do you feel you are in that?
I think that's a good question. I haven't really focused on a client avatar for it. I think when I think of video content to make or things to do, I think, what would I as a buyer or a seller in general want to know about, or something that I hear you and I talk about, but I think about it in a context of someone who has no clue and be like, oh, that's interesting.
So you do have a client avatar then?
I guess, a buyer or seller.
Yeah. No, but you're
Like,
taking
I
it,
don't
like-
care who you are. If you're buying or selling, that's who you are. But I do think, like it goes to what you're saying though. It's like, I'm not looking to get 900 likes of a 18-year-old that's just graduated high school that thought my video was cool. If I got 5 people that saw my video and thought it was informational, thought I provided value, and then said, hey, I'm looking to buy and I just saw your stuff, that's obviously way more important to me than how many likes. So I tend to not focus on, like we were talking about, I don't focus on likes or who saw it, or I do to see what content might be valuable, but I don't see it in a sense of, am I cool or not, or is this going to be, am I popular or not? It's more of, catering to what content I should put out. If it's hitting people and it's like, people are like, oh man, they watched the whole video on this market report that I did for the month of December.
Mhm.
Then you're like, okay, those market reports are important. Do those versus like, going viral, which I would love to do, but
It's such a wide net you got to cast with,
Yeah.
especially with real estate.
yeah.
Because you get buyers, you get sellers, you got people just like to refer out, hey, I saw this really cool guy that posted this thing, you should check him out.
Get
Or there's could be
investors.
guys or families or whoever 10 years from now, like, I'm ready to buy or sell. And then, you're top of mind. So it's such a wide variety, and you never know where you're going to hit
Yeah.
with people either.
Yep.
So you don't know if you're successful with your video or if it was a flop, because you usually don't get the feedback to know if it worked.
Yeah. And you hear that the likes do not indicate how well you got people attracted, how you attracted people. I think people see your stuff. I look at a lot of your stuff and I forget to like it. I really enjoy it.
So rude.
I don't want to start a fight here, but
So rude.
I enjoy it.
I'm trending. Do you not?
Well, I know now I'm not joining the club right now. But anyway, I know Carrie's my go-to gal for real estate down here. I don't have to like her stuff. I know who you are. I learn, but that's the thing with the videos and the social media is people get to know who you are. It doesn't matter if they like your stuff, but then when they think of real estate, they're like, oh, Joe does a lot of stuff. I'll call him. Or,
they have to feel connected with you somehow. I think that's the weird thing that's happened with just anybody who's consuming content right now. And anybody who's a client for anything, any product out there.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to just go buy it for the sake of buying it. They want to feel connected to the person they're buying from. They want some sort of feeling attached to it.
So if you post something and it's just all real estate agents liking your stuff, you're like,
I know.
Great, now they're going to use all the same stuff.
Yeah, it's like, don't like my content. I need the people. I need the buyers and sellers to like my stuff. No, liking's just such a fickle thing. I think, I say that, but I don't have 2 million likes like you.
It was 6, wasn't it?
6.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was way off.
I remember I was showing the kids. I was like, I got another 500,000. They're like, oh my gosh, Mom, quit talking about
That's
it.
insane.
Like,
What did that feel like?
Do you know who I am?
It's one of those things that you'll never experience again.
What is it?
Hey.
Well, you will never experience it.
I will never
Other people may,
it.
but you're definitely not going to.
No, thanks.
It's one of those things like it's like the algorithm. One day it's like we're gonna bless this person with 1 million likes, and then you're like,
with
well,
their head a little bit, their emotions.
Yeah, it's just how it works out. Sometimes it's just like, and then you try to recreate it, and then a dozen other people try to recreate it, nothing happens.
Or you take it to another platform. That was the other thing. We were like, well, let's push this out on TikTok and see what happens. Total flop.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it was like 200 people at most, and I'm like, people are not on Instagram.
Your little nose in the air, 200 people.
I know. It's like.
I'd be walking around like a famous person if I had 6 million likes. Like I'd be walking around Wilsonville, sunglasses on.
Do you know who I am?
A fur coat.
You're hiding yourself.
No pictures today.
Yes, no pictures. No pictures. Yeah. Just trying to shop in Fred Meyer here. Come on.
Like, man, please leave the produce aisle.
Signing fruit for people. Why'd you do that?
Who are you?
I totally would go to my head. That's probably why it's not happening. I
don't
can't
think
let
it'll
that
ever
happen.
For me again. Yeah. In case I was wondering, Brian already told me I won't. So there.
Yeah, he knocked you down a peg or two.
He did.
You gotta do that for people.
You gotta
sometimes.
humble people a little bit.
It's real estate in general, it's like there's people in real estate industry. It's like, but outside that, people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You had your moment to shine.
That was my moment to shine. I just resonated with moms.
You gotta keep posting stuff. Eventually, it's gonna happen to you again.
Crazy moms, apparently, or moms that lose their minds. So, but at the same time, I'm like, how do you recreate that? How do you how do you do that again with something that applies to what you do every single day to connect with the client? I don't know how.
I think it's having a diverse stuff. Like, I think you do a good job at that. You put those things that are like, the random joking things, but then you also put the real estate stuff. So I think like they get to know you that way, know who your personality is. So it's not like, I don't think that getting the 6 million every single time matters. I think it's like showing that you're consistent out there. And
I think it also has to do with like when you jump onto this, you hear like a trend. Is the trend like 5 weeks old and everybody's doing it, and then you try to jump onto it? Or do you try to do stuff on your own? Like, this is comfortable for me to do. I'm going to keep posting. Some people are going to like it.
Yep.
Some people won't like it.
Absolutely.
And you could be one of those trends. All of a sudden, you're the trendsetter, and everybody else is copying you because what you just did worked.
Yep. And it has to be what you want to do. Yeah. Like it has to fit in your personality. You can't do things that people will look at you and like, that's not you. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
Like,
And
hello, my name
yeah,
is Joe Skipper.
yeah,
I'm coming to you
yes,
today from 123
yes.
Main.
I'm
They're
like in a nice 3-piece suit and things.
they're
It's just
like,
not
what's he
me.
doing?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be yourself, even if it isn't going to get viral or anything like that. It's putting out content. People will like it. Like it's not everyone's going to like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but people will resonate with you and like who you are through whatever you do. But it's just getting out there and doing it.
What would you tell an agent that's just getting into the industry right now that like you wish you would have known were like key things you should be doing every single day?
I think that we've talked about it a little bit in the past. I think it's whatever you choose as your marketing choice of what you want to do, whether it's cold calling, mailers, whatever it might be, video, long form, short form content, is being consistent about it, is doing things on a consistent basis. If you're a flash in the pan on social media, people saw your video a week ago and you haven't put out anything else, you're just not going to get people following you and people knowing who you are and what value you provide. So, and if that's cold calling, it's doing it every day consistently, showing that you're consistent with that if you like doing that. So yeah, just consistency.
I think it's hard too because it's not an instant gratification sort of thing. So it's really the long game.
Yep.
So,
Big time.
The fun part of starting a business is picking out the logo and your name.
Yeah.
It's the very first step of starting a business that everybody goes through, and
Yep.
they'll spend a couple hours at a bar figuring that part
Yep.
out.
Yep.
But then you got to figure out your budget.
Then it gets real.
Yeah. How much you're going to, what's your budget going to be? What you can and can't afford right now.
Yeah.
What as far as when you got into your business, what was the sticking point that you had a hard time with?
I think I'm not a very good cold salesman. I think the way I built my business is through a slow nurture, which because of the job that I had, I was able to do it. So it worked for my personality to have a job that paid me money as I slowly nurtured and got people to know me, like me, and trust me. There are agents that just dominate the industry right away, that cold call. They don't care if they hear no. They don't care who you are. They're just like, if I call 1,000 people, I'm going to get X amount that are going to get
Like it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was never like that. So I think it was hard. It was harder for me to be myself, to say, trust the process. You will get the clients coming in, and don't do something that isn't you. I don't think that works, if that makes any sense. What I struggle with though is building a business is very difficult, and building a slow nurturing business is very difficult, and it takes time to do that. So I think for me the hard part was trusting what I was doing today is going to work 6 months from now. It's going to show me that result 6 months from now, and trusting that and continuing to do that.
It seems to be the school of thought with real estate. There's two different thoughts. There's like you said, the numbers game, and then there's the nurture game.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on your personality, people kind of gravitate towards real estate coming from those two, mindsets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can be a combo of both. It can be one extreme or the other. It can be a combo of both. I just personally, I'm not the guy that likes to call people cold and do all that stuff. So I knew from the very beginning, I tried it, and I knew from the very beginning I can't last in a business doing this. It's not me. It's not my personality. So how do I work on what I'm good at? And so that's when I found social media. That's when I found that, putting out valuable content, reaching out to people that I already know me, like me, and trust me, and letting them, kind of nurturing those relationships that I already have. It's a slower process, but it tends to be a stronger business foundation.
And then the other side is like when people think about real estate, they think about the numbers game. Like they have that vision of real estate agents like, oh, it's just a numbers game to them. They don't really care about me. You don't usually get complaints like, man, Joe really took care of me and he guided me through this.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe you did, get a Google 1-star Google review or something like that. But
Dang that Joe, he was so good to me.
So nice. I hate that.
Answered every question.
Yeah.
How dare he?
But it's usually on the opposite side. It's always just like, it's just numbers. It's just a sale to them. They don't really care about us, And so being able to come at it with the nurturing side, like I'm getting into real estate for what it should be. It should be to help people. It should be to guide them through a process, to nurture them. And when the sale's over, we can be friends. And later on down the line, I'm there to help them again.
For sure. And I was just lucky. Christina's parents were a good mentor indirectly. I assume that's what agents were like, is that they treated each client truly like a family member that needed a home or needed to sell their home. And they really took that very personally. So my assumption with real estate was that that was the case. That's what you do. So when I got in, I was like, that's normal. What I found was that's not normal. Unfortunately, it's not normal. And so I was kind of lucky that I got in knowing that that was just the standard that I was going to provide.
So as far as marketing goes, what's the next thing you're going to do? That's going to be
As
the
to,
trendsetter. You're gonna. I mean, do you think it's just all social media at this point out, or is there something else that you think will?
we do other things. We have the more traditional mailers. We have the more, the more what it used to be. We still do it because I do think
Like
it's
the
valuable.
farming
Yeah,
yeah.
I still think it's valuable.
Yeah.
I think that real estate in the future of real estate is technology. Whether that's AI stuff, whether that's these podcasts, whether it's talking head videos, it's just is what it is. And I think so. Really, yeah, pushing forward with video content, whether learning what works, what resonates with people, in the social media realm, in the technology field is kind of, I think, where I'm focused. And Christina's focused on other areas of her marketing, but for me, I think the social media realm is that, looking into the podcast sort of stuff as well, and putting out valuable content that way too. So
What about the AI integration to, it seems like everything now?
yeah.
How is that playing a role in your business?
It plays a big role, like, especially once you dive into the social media stuff and video content. Man, there's so many tools out there that help streamline the business, streamline how you market, streamline even just video editing and cutting and things like that. And I've just used a ton of AI tools that are out there that
Like
that
opened a
help
whole
you.
new world.
It
for
really
everybody.
is, and people that don't buy into it, like, I think we're going to see fail in the future. I think real estate agents that think that it's a trend or think that, oh, it's a little niche thing, it's just, it helps your business. And if it doesn't mean AI is going to take over our business, it's just going to help agents that actually utilize it to streamline their process
Make things
in
more
order
efficient.
to be better.
Well, especially if you start going more towards I mean, people when they see online, they want to connect with you.
Mhm.
They want to be, it's more like a relationship building thing, where the AI can kind of take some of the back end part of that away, and so you can focus more on the kind of like the human side of things, the relationship building, or working out some of the ups and downs of a sale with someone who's maybe spinning out of control because
Yeah.
some family issues going on with it. Because it's none of the sales, especially from what I've heard from Carrie, are ever smooth. It's
No.
it's always some issue that's come up with family. Some sort of, the husband and wife maybe have an argument over something, or something in their finances have come up that's caused an issue, and AI right now can't help that. And so, but that could take some of the load off as far as like the forms and some of the back
Yeah.
end things. But I think that human element is still going to be there, at least for the foreseeable future, that you need that. And that's what's, I think, going to free you guys up to maybe fill that in a lot more.
Yeah, AI can help with a lot of things, even writing emails. If you're not good at writing cold emails to, clients,
creating
everything,
content
like
or
creating
anything,
content,
yeah.
social media content. I just did it the other day, and I don't use it for this. I use it as an example because long story short, I was doing a video on AI and how it can help you, and I just typed in ChatGPT. I said, write me 30 days of content for social media. I don't know. I'm a real estate agent. I want to put out content for, boom. In less than a second, it's got all your month planned out of what you could do in video content.
Isn't it crazy?
And then, yeah, and you can say, write a script on each of them. Write a video script on each of these topics that you just gave me, and it'll pump out those scripts. So it's just makes things streamlined, where you would sit for hours potentially being like, what am I going to put out? This will do it for you. So it really helps you, like you said, on the back end of stuff. So you don't have to stress about, oh, I want to get into video. Well, tell ChatGPT you want to get into video on social media, and I'm a real estate agent and I need content. Tell me what I should be talking about, and it will tell you. It's like, so
Yeah.
really helps with
It's
with that
crazy.
sort of stuff. It is nuts.
I probably use it every day.
I was
probably
gonna say,
not-
Brian uses it, like,
yeah.
I'll ask him a question, or the kids will ask him a question. He's like,
Yeah.
It's
and I'm like,
it's
"You're
That's my
asking
best friend."
ChatGPT."
it's
He's
replaced
always like, "Let
Google.
me
I
ask
mean,
my
it really
consultant."
has.
Yep.
I mean, we were trying to figure out our phone systems. Like, here's our computer, here's our phone. Help me figure this out. And it walked me through how to hook up the phone, how to dial it in, and it even helped me pick out the phone. It's like,
That's crazy.
It's
because
nuts.
when you're going into something you don't know anything about it, especially with business, it's like there's so many parts of business that you don't know anything about, and there's no one there to help you because
Yeah.
there's no book how to do it.
Yep.
And so this is kind of like a new tool that's really speeding up how to fix this issue that you don't really care about, so you can move on to an issue you do
Yep.
care about. And so it's amazing how much I'm able to use this, although we've had to double check, because even this booth here, I said, here's how long it is. What would be the average width and height and everything that
Yeah.
and it gave me the dimensions here. So
That's
I had to
crazy.
double check it because I didn't trust it that it's going to give me the
You
exact.
didn't trust AI.
I didn't trust AI.
You better be careful. It's
Yeah.
listening.
It's
listening.
listening.
We're gonna
But-
knock Brian.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many things that can speed up for you, especially
Yeah.
with, on the business side of things.
For sure.
Just getting you, there's so many times where like I should probably go find out who to talk to about this, but it can just spit out within a couple seconds.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't know, like finding the top place you're looking for a hot tub repair or something, they can
Yeah.
find that stuff. So it's just
They could tell me how to repair the hot tub myself if I really wanted to. But
So it's for a business standpoint, man. There's so much we could talk about. We could go on forever about the things I use. ManyChat, I'll talk to you
Yeah.
about.
Well, Tom
Have you heard
Ferry
of
was
ManyChat?
talking about yes,
good.
I'm excited about
I
ManyChat.
know. I need to get in there before you do. Before you
what's
go viral.
ManyChat?
ManyChat's where the like you post something and you say comment and then you give it a word. Remember I was telling you we should use that? Like you comment like on a property. So say it's like 123 Main Street. You just say comment Main and then it'll auto send you
Oh,
something
okay.
in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
email right away. You don't have to do anything.
Or for a buyer's guide, say
Yeah.
buyer, and it'll
Yeah.
set you up with a buyer's guide automatically, and it will talk however you want it to talk, like and
Uh-huh.
answer questions however you want it to answer
It's
Right.
through
crazy.
your social media. All people have to do is hit that comment, and it'll start having
One
a
of the things
conversation.
that I
with
like probably talked to you about at like 6 o'clock in the morning when I woke you up, like we should use ManyChat.
them. Yeah. The 4 in the morning, like wake up, like okay, what am I doing?
My brain's already going, so I like wake Brian up and be like, I have this really good
That's
idea.
good.
And he's like, what? What are we
Well,
doing?
when you're that famous and you have 6 million
Yeah.
likes, you can wake anybody up whenever you want. Like
It was views.
oh, 600. Oh, 6 million views. That's
Oh,
totally
no,
different.
It was likes. It was
I
likes,
think it was-
sorry. Yeah, it was like, sorry.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
That's awesome. I can't get over it. I can't get over it.
Yeah, she wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake her up at 9 o'clock at night. I say, hey, I know you just fell asleep, but guess what?
I know. I'm like, remember that look you give me early in the morning? That's what I'm feeling
Yeah,
right now as
yeah.
you're talking to me. Like my brain shut off for the
yeah,
day.
it works out.
Yeah.
It works out.
It's balance.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember. what I was
ManyChat.
saying. ManyChat, yeah.
I'll have to look into
I
that.
did talk to you about it, I promise.
You probably did.
It's cool. There's
Yeah.
a lot of tools to streamline, so you're not stuck on social media
Yeah.
responding to everyone that wants to talk to you and doing different things.
Well, Tom Ferry was talking about how there's
Do you say Tom Ferry like he's a buddy of yours? No,
I know. I'm like,
Like,
me
oh,
and Tom.
I was talking to Tom the other day. I don't know if you
listen to
know
his
him.
stuff
Tom
all
Ferry.
the- Tom Ferry.
I'm pretty sure he was one of the likes.
Yes.
So-
You may not know him,
Yeah.
Joe, but I do,
No, I
and I
listen
can.
to his stuff all the time. He has
yeah.
such good stuff to put out. But he was talking about how basically like you can just sit down with ChatGPT and say, this is my objective. Ask me a series of 20 questions.
I've done that.
Like in
Yeah.
between, yeah. And Brian started
That's
doing
crazy.
that too. I was like, this
You
is
got to
nuts.
program it. You got to and on your profile, you can program it. Here's what I do.
Yeah.
Here's who I am. Here's my family. There's everything about me. So as you come back and ask a question later on, everybody knows your backstory.
Yeah.
And so it can kind of like, I need to put something together for the podcast, and it's not going to what's up. What podcast are you talking about? Everybody knows that you're doing a podcast, and so
That's crazy.
and
I
then
know.
now what it's doing is you can start building out scripts, like almost like you're building like an app
Yeah.
that you can put out there for other people to even buy if you want. So if you wanted to put together like a listing description script, you can program ChatGPT like you're going to build a script. Here's all the guidelines you need to follow for the script, and all you're going to ask me is a series of questions like, what's the address? What are some of the amenities and stuff like that? And all of a sudden, it's building out.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But it helps it helps the business.
and
The things
it's
that you-
stuff that you need.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that's not important in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
So it's
It's your advisor. Just like Brian
Yeah.
always says he's consulting his advisor.
Yeah. I don't use it a lot for besides real estate stuff, which I maybe need to do.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
It's great for
I
kids'
still
homework.
Google. Maybe I'm a little old school
Yeah.
with Google.
Even with podcasting, I when we were putting together the podcast, I programmed it to so I can practice asking questions.
Yeah.
So as it's talking, I say, "This is who you are," and it has no problem spoofing whatever thing you decide you tell it to be, and it will go off on a tangent about its backstory and what it does, and then you can ask follow-up questions, and it'll make stuff up on the fly. It's scary
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it sounds like a person
Yeah,
talking.
yeah.
And I even programmed in throw in a stutter every once in a while, or throw in an to make it sound more
Make it look
realistic.
like
And it stumbles over its words, and it's you could put it on a phone and you probably couldn't even tell it's a robot talking.
It's kind of
weird.
scary. He programmed it one time to like, if you're calling and you've got an angry buyer on the other line and or an angry potential client on the other line, like, just be really standoffish and like shoot down every single thing that she's throwing at you. And finally I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, he's hurting my feelings. And Brian's like, it's not real. And I was like, it feels real. Like, I don't want to play this game anymore. It's not fun.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it helps. I used it for script. Like, when I first started video stuff, I asked it basically, what do I say? What do I say online? Because you don't know. Like, when you're first starting, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So it helps. It helps a lot. But there's tons of AI tools that will help you, to streamline the business.
So when you get in the Apple glasses and you're gonna be walking down the street,
I know.
Have you seen those?
I saw someone get out of a Tesla and do it. It's a little far. It's a little much for me. And I love Apple stuff, but it's a little much.
I'm afraid it's gonna make me nauseous. I can't handle like the 3D.
Have you done the VR?
I can't do it. It makes me so nauseous. Brian thinks it's awesome, but I put it on and I'm like, nope.
I love it with the slow stuff. We have like a cliffhanger one where you jump and skydive, and that one made me sick. I was like, whoa, like, and you have to step off. Like, you look down and you got to step off the thing and jump.
Hard pass.
It was insane. My kids love it. But there's one that's like the grocery store where you like just check people's stuff. I was like, this is what I can do.
This is my
I was like, yeah, let me just scan this for you, sir. That's $2. Like,
there's the bomb diffusing one.
Oh yeah, we have that. We have that, and it's so fun. That one's fun. That one's a good time. But yeah, anyways.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on the podcast again.
Yeah.
Again. So.
Well, let's do it again next month.
Yeah.
Like,
You'll have more.
Let's do it
We're
again.
gonna do a monthly check-in with you to see how business is going, if it's up or down.
I love it. I love
He's
it.
gonna come in like super happy or like.
We gotta get your wife on one of these days.
Yeah, we gotta get her on.
Christina, come on.
She was too much of a sissy last time, so she was a hard pass.
We'll get her.
But I think she'll see this.
Well, I hope you guys have a good year.
Thank you.
We're hoping for a good year too.
You guys too. Yes, absolutely.
So it's exciting to come out of the 2023. It was kind of a.
God, that's over. Come on.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I still feel like COVID was last year.
Yeah.
I always like kind of hint to last year.
I think it was real estate COVID.
It was
Maybe.
That's a good way to put it.
Because it wasn't COVID for real estate during COVID.
Yeah.
No, it was real estate.
great.
Like, everybody stayed
It
away
was
in
booming
2023.
for real estate for COVID. Then they're like, well, now your payback is 2023. Here's an 8% mortgage rate. Have fun with that.
Yeah. So if you survived last year, congratulations.
Yep. You did awesome.
Yeah, we're doing well. It's definitely slower, but it's, I think, a healthier market. So you just have to navigate it. This is life in real estate. So, yeah, pumped.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks.